Hi, I'm here to tell you about Mexican Christmas. And when I say Mexican, I don't mean just the one night Christmas day. I'm talking about everything that's involved. And the celebration starts about a month and a half before Christmas Day. It starts with setting up the manger. Now, the whole family gets together and sets up the nativity scene. And you have Mary and Joseph and all the animals of the farm, and the kids, get to participate and set up the manger. Now, we have a manger, but we don't have a Christmas tree. We don't decorate a Christmas tree. Some people put up some lights and stuff like that, but the Christmas tree is not part of our celebration. Then from that time on, you go to church every Saturday until Christmas Day. And those Saturday celebrations are called posadas. And what happens is the whole neighborhood goes to the church, and it has been arranged from before that each street or each section of the neighborhood will host that posada for that specific Saturday. So we first go to the church, and there's lots of kids everywhere just running around, and you go to church first, and you pray, and we do a rosary. After that is done, the people whose house has been selected, that specific street, they leave first, and they go into their home, and they wait for the rest of the people to get there. And so everybody leaves the church in a group, and since it's at night, people will be holding candles and singing, and sometimes the choir will come with you. And so you go down the street, and you get to that house, and you knock, and you start singing, and you're asking for posada, which means, can I spend the night here? And what it is, it's a reconstruction of what Mary and Joseph went through when they went from inn to inn looking for a place to stay. So you go to that one house, and then that first person will answer also singing that, no, you can't stay there. And then you go to a next house that, people have also agreed to do that. So you go to the next house and you knock, and they say, no, you can't stay here, and you go to the next house, and so on. Until the last house, they will say yes, they welcome you in, and then it's a party. And the people of the house will serve you food, mostly, sometimes it's cake, and most of the times you get tamales. And tamales are a very traditional meal for Christmas time. And you also get kind of a beverage that is called champurrado. Now, don't ask me what it is, because you don't get to know that until you're much older and your grandmother or your mother tells you how to make it. But it tastes like chocolate with cinnamon, and it's very thick, and it's warm. It's delicious for winter time. So you eat tamales and you drink champurrado, and that's done, and then it's done again the next Saturday at somebody else's section of the neighborhood or somebody else's street. And you do that. Now, the last posada is held at the church. And you go through the same steps. You go into the church, you pray, and then you have a party in the patio. So you set up little areas. You do the same thing. You go to a corner and you sing to a group of people, and they'll say, no, you can't stay here, and you go around. And then it ends with breaking a piñata for the kids. And, it's this stuffed animal made of a certain, it can be different shapes. And it's made out of paper mache and newspaper, basically. And it has candies inside. And so kids have a great time, and they get their candies, and everybody goes home. And then comes Christmas Day, or Christmas night, actually. We have dinner as a family on December 24th. And then after dinner, you go to midnight mass. So the whole family goes to mass. The whole neighborhood goes to mass. And you get to tell everybody Merry Christmas, and it's a regular mass, but with the celebration added to it. And then you go home, you go to sleep. Now, the next morning, unlike American kids, we don't wake up to presents. We don't believe in Santa Claus. We don't grow up believing in Santa Claus. It's Christmas, and everybody's happy, and baby Jesus has been born, and he is added to the manger that night. But we don't get presents until January 6th. And that is called El Día de los Reyes. And it translates into the Day of the Wise Men. Because in the Bible, the three wise men were the one that brought presents to Jesus. So all the Mexican kids get presents on that day. I shouldn't say all, because I lived also in a border town that has copied the, North American traditions of having a Christmas tree and having a Santa Claus, bring gifts. But where I grew up, which is more of a central part of Mexico, we still follow the tradition of the three wise men bringing presents to the kids. So on February the 6th in the morning, we get our presents. In the evening, we have another celebration in which mostly the adults, but, kids are allowed. There's kids everywhere throughout this whole thing. Mostly the adults that will share a cake. Now, this doesn't look like a traditional birthday cake. It's actually a very plain tasting bread that it's shaped like a big, big donut. And it's got a little bit of sugar sprinkled on top and pieces of fruit, mostly orange. And now there's a twist to this celebration. Somewhere in the cake, somewhere in this bread called a rosca, there is a toy, a baby toy, plastic toy, that has been baked into the bread, and no one knows where it is. And once you cut the bread and you distribute the pieces, the point is to find out who has the baby. But you don't want to be the one to have the baby, because it means that you have to host a party on February the 2nd. Now, I told you, this is basically for adults, but a lot of times kids are there. And so when the kids get their piece of bread, they start digging through the bread before they eat it to see if they got the baby. Now, parents start digging through their kids' bread to see if they got the baby, because if they did, then the parents are responsible for hosting the party. So, someone gets the baby. Sometimes people try to hide it. They take it out of their bread, they put it on somebody else's bread, or they keep it in their mouth. They don't want to talk. They don't want to say that they have it. It's a big, fun thing. So, someone got the baby. So this person is responsible for having a party on February the 2nd. So you invite all the people who were there at this party, and then you invite neighbors, and you invite other family, other friends. Everybody goes to this person's house on February 2nd. And this is called El Día de la Candelaria. Now, I don't know what the translation of this would be, but it's a female name, and it's probably biblical, a saint or something like that. So this celebration on February 2nd has several purposes. You get together and pray again, do the rosary, go through the whole thing on your knees, kind of long. And then you pick up the baby from the manger. Now, the manger's still up from way middle of November until this day, February the 2nd. And this is the day where the manger gets put away. And so you pick up the baby and put him away in his box. And then the kids are allowed to bring the rest of the things, put them away. And during the prayer, you ask for the animals to be blessed. Now, a lot of people live in the city now, but back in those days, people lived in farms. So you wanted to ask that your animals were blessed and they were healthy and they reproduced, so that your family did well throughout the year. You also ask for the seeds to be blessed, so that you have a good harvest and there's plenty of food for everybody. And the last purpose of this party is to close all the celebrations. The Christmas celebrations are started at the beginning of December or middle of November.